Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now, a weekly forecast program with astrology and other ways to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and I invite you to find out more about my work at insightoasis.com. I look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends, and here we go. As I give the forecast for the week of August 3rd, one thing I'm going to say is that it's important to enjoy this relatively chill week, because once we get into next week, this is when the eclipse occurs. And so we're in this kind of arc of moving towards that. And when we're in eclipse season, basically what's happening is an electric energy that in some ways can speed up, in other ways it's like a strobe light. It's this intense kind of wake-up call or information that comes in. And eclipses happen several times a year, depending on the year, even more than that. But this particular year, 2026, because of other dynamic energy that's happening with the outer planet movement, all in air and fire, eclipse season seems to be especially heated for bringing things to light. And I think that we will definitely be seeing that, especially as we get to the end of August into the autumn. So this week, one of the things to note on Monday the 3rd is that Chiron goes retrograde. Chiron is astronomers, and they call it different things. I think it's being labeled a centaur right now. It's an amalgam of a comet and an asteroid, and it has an irregular orbit. But the thing of note for astrologers is it's in between Saturn and Uranus. So because of its orbit, it basically has a lot to do with how we transcend into, ideally, more freedom, self-knowledge, autonomy, and a sense of really knowing who we are as individuals within the collective. And I say this because Saturn is the planet it's the clock, it's the great taskmaster, and it moves in 7-year increments, and its cycles are very easy for an astrologer to define, oh, this was happening at this point in your life, this will happen at that point in your life, because certain things simply occur when they do. I was in a conversation the other day, and a woman made a reference to a job she had for 7 years. Totally standard Saturn statement, because oftentimes that 7-year itch is when we may change jobs get terminated, marriages get crunchy, things happen where we're basically questioning the parameters, the limitations, the structure that we've imposed or is imposed on us. So this energy, Chiron, in between Saturn, which is everything's kind of defined, limited. It's also about our fears, because nothing limits us as much as our fears. Chiron, with its irregular orbit, will show us how that person is moving to the energy that's more about individual expression, comfort level with sort of jumping out of the box. And so on Monday, with Chiron retrograde, some of us may be experiencing, not necessarily on that day, but over the course of the next few months, we may be experiencing a sense of, oh, that's a old wound, or that's a pattern, or that's something I would like to be liberated from. And Chiron was we reference and call him the wounded healer, because he was genius at creating medicinal cures with the plants in the forest. And he was a great teacher, but he was in constant pain. And there's more to the myth and the story. You can go to my website, insightoasis.com, put Chiron in the search, and learn a bit more about Chiron or other sources online. So that's the retrograde energy of Chiron. And the moon is in the sign of Aries on Monday. So there is that sense of kind of instigating energy for many of us, especially air and fire signs, depending on where the moon is moving through your horoscope. In the sign of Aries, it's going to show where there is a sense of kind of rubbing the two sticks together and creating something new. So it could possibly be, for some of us, a new approach to something therapeutic or something we want to dig into, conversations, healing conversations, man. They still occur. I mean, I remember the ones I had, certainly with parents, bosses, situations I was in, spouse. But now I'm getting into them periodically with my continuing to blossom adult daughter. So these things happen. There's an acceptance and a receiving that can occur when someone kind of works on a wound to come to resolution with it. And so those of us who are doing that this week, whether the journey is with self or it's actually within a relationship or some sort of creative exploration, Chiron retrograde is a great time to kind of go deeper, to understand that, to ideally be liberated from the pain somewhat. We always have it. And that's the issue I have with when people talk about, oh, letting go or release or moving on from. I mean, yes, yes, yes. But as we go through the different portals of our life, we reach points where we are confronted with, oh my gosh, that again? I thought that was resolved. And that's all part of the layers of the onion and understanding self better, and ideally being a more dimensional human being so that we can accept and work more within the collective of human beings and this wonderful biosphere that we have the privilege of living in. So this day, Monday into Tuesday, these are strong days to work through, like kind of clear off into whatever it is you might be finishing up. Remember, waning moon cycle. So finishing up things, putting to rest, new orientation, so that we can work with it more effectively as we get into the next lunar cycle. These are all great things to be doing in a very assertive way, especially on Monday. The thing I want to mention is certainly always make sure those lines of communication are clear, that you understand what somebody's saying, and your message is delivered in the way you want, need it to be heard. And this is doubly important early tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. The moon goes void, of course, at 2:52 p.m. on Tuesday. Then it's void all the rest of the afternoon, early evening, until 10:35 p.m. when it enters the sign of Taurus. Now we're in a really sweet spot for the week. This is the moon in Taurus over the next couple of days, really serves well for that kind of messages being received, understood, deepening into a creative process. Keep in mind, though, that Wednesday the 5th, and the times they give are Eastern time, so you need to keep that in mind as well. But Wednesday the 5th, that may be the slightly rocky point, and actually into Tuesday as well, Tuesday into the evening. A way I like to work with this as I'm looking at it is the moon in Taurus is a time when we are invited to be aware of our physical body. For some of us, that's like a continual relationship. Earth signs, water signs, people who have that kind of strong understanding of their physicality. For other people, it's oh, wow, I have to think about that. It's for me, as an example, is I have no Earth in my horoscope. So Earth, of the four elements we use in astrology, earth, air, fire, and water, earth is representative of the physical body, the actual mass of reality that we encounter, what we see in our mundane physical plane. So people who have earth tend to be grounded. They walk and know their orientation with their feet as they land on the ground. People with no earth, where we're kind of we have to think about the physical body and remember it. Sometimes there's overcompensation that happens in a person's horoscope. That certainly is something that I've confronted in my personal journey through Earth. And so I'm looking at these few days is this is going to be when I really work on concretizing certain routines I'm doing as I'm working with my body to have a more comfortable orientation with the physicality of it. And, for some of us, that could be an exercise routine we're doing. We haven't been remembering how to eat well. So it's about really being conscious of getting food in the house and making sure that we've planned out our meals so that we're eating what our body wants and needs to eat. So this is Wednesday could be kind of not necessarily a reckoning day, but a great day for kind of putting these systems into practice. And one of the things that's super important about, well, fixed sign energy, which tends to be routine oriented, it also has to grapple with inertia where, okay, I've been resting and now I have to get up. Are you kidding me? Or I've been in motion and do I really have to stop moving? That's not usually hard for someone with a lot of Taurus, but the point I'm trying to make here is that if we kind of had a sense of I want to implement a lot of different routines or certain ones into my life, do it in a way that is making methodical sense. And if you're kind of putting those things in place, the image I'm getting as I think about this Taurus moon as it's moving through the sky is I'm thinking about, okay, I've got this puzzle on the table and I only give it a certain amount of minutes on the day to complete, and it's been there for a couple of months. Not my house, but I do know I do know a puzzle that is its experience. So it might be a good time to just think about, okay, when am I going to like sit down and focus so that I can be in that space and complete it. And I'm doing an analogy of a puzzle. It could be something different, but whatever it is that we want to address, complete and finish up on, well, on Wednesday, especially into Thursday, we can absolutely nail that. So you want to be clear on what it is that you want to sit down and complete, and you will complete it in a way that gives satisfaction and even bragging rights, perhaps. Hey, look what I did, or finally, or I am so pleased with myself. And give yourself a nice little pat on the back for that if no one is doing it for you. At 7:25 p.m. on Thursday, the 6th, the moon goes void of course, and it's void of course for the entire evening in the sign of Taurus. And I think that is just an absolutely lovely evening to do something that is so restorative, whatever it is you might like to do. Give yourself an experience of opulent colors if you like to watch a film with a lot of richness to it. Do enjoy a sit down meal that you're enjoying the conversation, the company you're with, or just being quiet and comfortable and cozy. These are absolutely wonderful ways to spend this evening. Taurus wants touch, it wants an experience that restores the senses. It gives this lovely, lovely sense of being taken care of, nurtured, and and the delight of being alive. So Friday the 7th, we have a moon in Gemini. Busy, 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 busy couple of days. This is jazzy. It's like on. It wants conversation. It wants stimulus. It wants play. And as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, I've got to figure something out for Friday because I know someone whose birthday it is who has not planned anything at all. And as I look at this day, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to think of something that's stimulating, fun, engaging, and probably has a few people involved at least. So that's games are coming to mind. So that's a way to use it. If this is a work day for you, this is a tremendously productive day, as is the next day, Saturday. These days are they're about making those connections, having the conversations, follow through. It's a terrific time to, oh, I finally got in touch with so and so, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. So there's a lot of connect the dots, there's a lot of coming together, a lot of energy that is curious and invites, stimulates, has to do with how we feed one another, not necessarily with food, but with ideas, conversation, neighbor relations. That can be, I can't emphasize enough how that is that is part of the magic with this Pluto in Aquarius time, when we can really sink in to neighborhood community connections, we strengthen the web, we can emphasize ideas, we can build build what doesn't seem possible. There's this tremendous emphasis in this period of time with Pluto and Aquarius that has to do with the connectivity of human relations. And when we don't do that, which absolutely is the uh, well, it's definitely one of the strategies of all the internet, digital, AI, is to create ways that we become more and more isolated and dependent on electronics. And the actual community involvement, so the going outside, taking walks, depending on where you live, if there's a park, an area where people congregate. It's summer. It's usually, well, in the northern hemisphere. So even in the southern hemisphere, hopefully it's mild enough to be out of doors and doing things that give you that sense of human connection. And this vibrancy, when it's so stimulated as it is on Friday and into Saturday, this vibrancy is what gives us this potential to continue to explore and learn from. It's so interesting. Gemini energy, well, all signs are interesting to me, but Gemini energy, among other things, is about youthful learning, curiosity. And traditional astrology says, oh, that's, grammar school, initial education, how we learn to speak, how we learn to read. So that actually can be an ongoing process. I mean, one of the things that they've done studies on, of course, is as a person is aging, one thing that can be dementia illnesses is total lack of continued learning or any kind of ambulatory activity, left right brain way that we stimulate. So, what makes actually today, I was just at a friend's 96th birthday gathering, and she is an incredibly vibrant lady. And what makes someone age like that with such vitality? The place was packed. There must have been over 50 people there. And one friend said to me, does she really know all these people? And I said, yes, she does. And they all love her. And this is somebody who just is delighted to meet people, talk with people, interested in the arts, interested in just having fun. This is what keeps us young. So Gemini reminds us, be curious, be someone who asks questions. Uh, One of the things, okay, the signs we talk about how they move through the ages of life. And with Gemini, the energy is the child is in the Y stage. Child's in the back seat of the car and saying, why is that leg green? Why is that man walking like that? Why is that person wearing a red hat? The child just is asking all these questions for the endless encyclopedia, the older person to answer the question. But even if they don't answer the question, the child is on another question usually. And so this moon in Gemini over these couple of days is basically pushing the why, the curious spark, the learn more. And if you're feeling frustrated or unable to find answers, or as an astrologer, people are continually asking me now, why is this happening? When are things going to change? When is so and so going to leave office or stop the whatever? And so these are questions that, okay, you can ask a source who may or may not have answers. And I don't, but I do. I know that the world is changing. I know that things are going to change. How exactly it's going to happen has everything to do with each one of us. So be curious, go out there, ask questions, stimulate, find your people, connect with neighbors, people who are also asking questions, and ask especially questions or make connectivity with people that aren't necessarily in total agreement with you, because that's how we push back and understand the what seems to be an impassable change. We can pass it, we can change it, we can absolutely metamorphose it, but not if we stay on one side of the division. We have to move, be curious to get those answers, resolutions, connections that will come. They must come. So the moon goes for it, of course, at 1:27 a.m. on Sunday, and it enters Cancer at 3:46 a.m. And then it books along in the sign of Cancer for the rest of the day. Now, one thing that happens today is Mercury will change signs. It moves into Leo, actually midday. And when that happens, we're going to find ourselves again with longer void of courses in the next week or so. But right now, on this day, after we've enjoyed those long transits of a couple of days with the moon in one sign where we're just kind of moving along, on this day with the moon in Cancer, it really behooves us to make sure we have systems and things in place that are going to work for us in the next couple of weeks. Moon in Cancer is a water sign. It likes to be comfortable at home, which many of us may want to do on this day. Get restored at the beach, a body of water, if you like such things. Do things that give you that sense of just calm. That's a nice thing to do with the moon in Cancer. But that being said, don't get so calm or tranquil that you haven't put things in place on how things get done over the next couple of weeks, because as we enter into eclipse season, there may be a lot of changeability. So that's why, let's say you've got something you need to do, people you're relying on, ways that's going to happen. One thing I'm thinking of today is one of the things I'm involved with, a volunteer project. I just got a message, oh, so-and-so has COVID. So people are getting sick with different illnesses that are flying around. So that can be something that derails an activity. So think about backups, support systems, what you might do if something doesn't work out exactly the way it needs to. And with that in mind, it'll be an easier week going forward. But, have a chill day. You have been listening to Astrology Insight Now. Please share with your friends. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so at astrologyinsightnow.com. Have a stellar week, and we hope to see you next time.